Ever since the last round in Texas World, everyone's been mining the P's and Q's. There's been a couple more rounds of Arla and the RROL ever since. And everyone just wanted to come here and have a nice, clean race. And that appeared to be what was on the cards, because this new oval track in Brazil is absolutely fantastic. It's really wide, and the banking in the turns is very high. You could run 3, 4 wide, everyone thought, coming into the race, and well, I'll toss it over to you, Dan, for the coverage of the race.
Thank you, Lance. The Clutch Pole Award goes to Johnny Ada in the number 04 car. Ada has not been on the grid since Daytona. Second row outside, the number 66 car, Sam Morrill, has not been on the grid at all this year. Coming into the first turn, Johnny Ada gets a pretty good run. However, Marcus Leonard in the 02 car is a bit more aggressive on the start. Well, Marcus Leonard and aggressiveness kind of go together. Leonard sweeps into the lead in the 02 car, and he leaves Ada wondering what just happened. Leonard leads the first lap, much to the chagrin of Ada. For the first time the TM Master Cup Series comes to Brazil, they have a Brazilian driver in the field, Carlos Donzello in the 45. Needless to say, the crowd absolutely loved him, however they weren't loving where he was going, backwards. The first caution was on lap 4. This yellow could have been prevented if a bit of patience was used. Todd Wodarczyk dives in a little too hard into turn 2, doesn't lift, and gets into the back of Chris Allen with a 7. Chris Allen gets on the brakes just enough to miss the wall. However, if Chris Allen did end up going into traffic, he probably wouldn't have gotten too many other cars involved, and it wouldn't have been that big of a catastrophe. He was able to continue. On the restart, Alexis Rainsford and Adrian Devereaux led the field, but Tony Durbin, Lauren Roth, and Johnny Ada all decided to pit. In fact, everybody pitted, and those 3 cars lost a lap, misfortune striking them already. Well, here we're on board with Alexis Rainsford, Tony Durbin. On the inside, normally whenever we see these 2 cars together, they're giving each other a real hard time. However, Rainsford using some common sense here. No need to run a lapped car that hard this early in the race. Here we're looking at Arto Kakkonen at some of the 3 wide, a little bit further in front of him. Whoa, Scott Bates, hang on to it there. We see some people like Bates there able to run very close to other cars without creating big wrecks. This track is extremely wide and encourages side-by-side racing, which we are seeing of in great quantities, much to everyone's surprise, because normally whenever we think of tracks that are fairly flat, you don't normally think of a lot of side-by-side racing, such as this. 4 wide down the fairly flat front stretch and into the very high bankings of the first and second turns. Looking at Rachel Rainsford there, who's been pretty much in her little sister's shadow. Tony Durbin was leaving everybody in his shadow. The only problem is he's a lap down. So is Johnny Ada in the 04. Looking back from Adrian Devereaux now. Just have a look at that big rat's nest in the back. Everybody jostling for position and showing some great racing early on. This is Milano Rossini in car number 90. He's never qualified for a race this season so far. In fact, this is his first start. Rossini was showing that he did have some respectable speed, and in fact, he was running inside the top 20 for most of the early stages of the race. Manny Brown in the 65 car has also not started a race this year. In fact, he's been faster than his teammate Enzo Medina in most of the qualifying races. However, Brown's not been able to get the right results in those qualifying races to put him into the show, which is exactly what he needs, but hasn't been getting. So, Brown is running about mid-pack, not fantastic, but his car didn't seem to get faster after that first pit stop, so while that early stop and early yellow may have hurt some people, it certainly didn't hurt Manny Brown. John Parker Jr. in the 53 car there, the IPX machine, has not started a race since Daytona. He did qualify for Texas World, but he's failed to qualify for the rest. JP Jr.'s rookie year can best be described as a train wreck, because a lot of people have expected some great things from this young man, and he was beginning to show what everyone was talking about. Parker Jr. seemed to be better able than most others to slice his way through the field, and look at that! 5 wide behind him! 5 wide across the track! And no wreck. In fact, they stay 4 wide coming into turn 1. Let's have a look at this again. Coming off turn 4, 5 wide. No wreck. Fantastic stuff. Tony Durham was able to take the spot. In fact, there's still 4 wide back there. No sign of a yellow flag and no sign of any smoke anywhere. Julia Nosova, however, was not having such a good race. Cariela's in a couple of weeks, and she's won the race before. However, she needs to get herself higher in the point standings in order to lock herself into that race, and it doesn't look like she's been able to do it. That car having some problems. However, her teammate, Ian Cooper, in the 2, not having any problems. Cooper in the 2 car having a fantastic run so far. He's been out of the Master Cup Series for a few years, and now that he's back full-time, people have wondered if he still has it. This drive should be the answer to it. Yes, he does. Ian Cooper in the 2, having a very strong run early on. You see other cars having some strong runs, including Alan Hodges in the number 13 car, and Hodges' teammate, Mike Whitmore in the 73, leading the pack. Interestingly enough, Mike Whitmore is usually very good at tracks where a lot of cars are bunched together. So, on super speedways, the 73 car usually is the car to beat. However, it's interesting to see him leading here on this track. Here we have Chris Johans, former Arla champion, having a pretty good run and giving some of his Arla mates a pretty good representation. Whoa, Leonid Roderick a bit impatient there, coming in. But anyway, Chris Johans having a fantastic run so far, making everybody wonder if Arla drivers really are the real thing. And the answer so far would be yes, according to him. Scott Stoyler is going to win Teammate of the Year here. Follows his team owner Alan Hodges in the 13 car all the way to the front of the field. These two cars have been working very well together, just how teammates should. However, just like Hodges told him when he signed him, Hodges told him reportedly that I want him to race me like anyone else, and apparently Scott Stoyler's listening, because Stoyler, once he realized he could get around the 13 car, he did just that. Right in front of him, though, David Krikorian and Marcus Leonard would be having a good battle for the lead. Krikorian showing a lot of momentum after, well, what can be called a fluke second place at Texas World. Brian Sendak would be having a strong run as well. Krikorian lost the lead to Stoidler, and Sendak, whose season has been just a misfortune after misfortune, gets himself into the top 20. Sendak did not qualify very well. Zelda Ashby in the 55 cars, one of the most inconsistent drivers on the circuit. This car either fails to qualify or runs very well. And so far, the runs very well could be checked here. Ashby showing the way for a couple laps with Arto Kekkonen in the 14 car right on her heels. Rachel Rainsford, Alexis Rainsford in there as well. Caution 2 would be on lap 38. Another big case of driver impatience comes here when Chris Johans clips the back of David Krikorian. However, Johans keeps it gas, bounces off the wall, and right in front of everybody, creating a big pileup in turn 3. About 15 or 20 cars are collected in this. Manny Brown, Sam Morrell, David Krikorian, obviously. Here's in slow motion. Johans runs into the 9. Looks like Johans just snags the bumper and then dumps him. Bounces off the wall, hits James West, Brian Sendak, Sam Morrell, Ian Cooper, Damian Snyder, Stuart Sandoval. In the background, I think there's Manny Brown, Palmer Stiles, Dale Roswell. I think Kurt Pliskin got a piece. Danny Savin, the 91 there. I think Bruno Battaglia got a piece. Let's have a look here. There's the big wreck. And he's going to get through. No! In fact, Bruno Battaglia just doesn't have a whole lot of time to react and runs right in the back of Dale Roswell. Several cars involved, and this would probably have been a much more forgivable incident if it wasn't lap 38 of 155. This race is fairly long. A bit more patience on Chris Johans' part could have been used. And poor Milano Rossini in the 90 car just got collected in this as well. Johnny Ada, his day goes from bad to worse as he got in this as well. There's Manny Brown. I think I already mentioned Johans is on his roof. Gonna have a look on the aerial cameras, looking at the 22 car. 5 wide, and Johans just dives it in too hard, fails to lift, runs into the 9, and then just keeps it gassed. Comes flying into everybody else. Dan Klesel in the 25 car also got a piece of this, I forgot to mention, but Johans does a rollover. No word in his medical condition. The former Arla champion has been called Crash Johans before in the Master Cup Series, and, well, it's really hard to blame anybody, but, well, a bit more patience from Chris Johans is all that could have been needed to avoid this massive pileup. On board Marcus Leonard, who also, I think, got a piece of this. Yep. That's all I can really really say. Massive pileup in turns 3 and 4. Several drivers not too happy with Chris Johans. I think we're going to see how Sam Morrell gets through it. Or doesn't get through it. In this case, there goes the 66 into the wall. You can see the 22 doing his rollovers. Snyder getting through there. That car's done. On the restart, Zelda Ashby would be leading. Look at how slow that 2 car is. He goes right through the field, dropping like a stone. Ian Cooper a couple laps down, and Ashby slices around Ryan Naraki, who also apparently got damaged, and goes way out into the lead, giving her a big advantage over the rest of the pack. You see anyone near Ashby? Well, only one car is able to get around Ashby on speed. Scott Stoidler. Apparently Stoidler called for some adjustments on the pit stop, and he was way, way faster than his other 2 teammates. However, there'd be some other cars that would be able to hold a candle to him. One of them being Gary Edwards in the number 8 car. Edwards having one of the best drives of his career, as is Scott Stoidler. Great driving from these 2 guys. And also from Zach Duff in the number 28 Lego Volpe. Haven't seen much of him. He's had a very quiet run in the point standings, but Duff showing that he can run well here. Dan Klesel is apparently the professor of how to be an annoying backmarker 101. Holds up Tony Durbin, even though Durbin is a lap down. This would involve many, many curses from the 33 radio to the 25. And you can see he's beginning to hold up the 2 outside lanes. And then he moves up there and lets everyone go low. But not a good case of courteous backmarker there. See another car up in front, that's Ian Cooper, as we're on board Carlos Donzello. He takes second away from Leonard Roderick and begins to hunt down Drew Eisenman. Lewis Kingston in the number 84 car is a bit of a dark horse for the championship this year. However, he's been having a solid run all night, and here he is in the 84, running inside the top 20 after hanging back for the early stages of the race. Kingston has decided that now it is time to go for the front. 84 car normally does well on tracks like this. Wide tracks, high speeds. Here's Kurt Pliskin, who is without a doubt surprise package of the year. Pliskin having a fantastic run, and actually is contending for the championship when nobody expected that this team would even qualify for most of the races. Kurt Pliskin shutting up his critics because his runs so far have shown that this season is no fluke. The last caution of the night would fly on lap 67, still in the first half of the event. If Dan Kleslow is the professor of how to be an annoying backmarker, then Ian Cooper is obviously his finest student. Cooper moves all the way up the racetrack, and oops, Zelda Ashby's there. Oh, I just took her into the wall. Spins out, takes his own teammate Zach Duff in there for a little bit of damage, and Arto Kekkonen scrapes the wall. To his own credit, Cooper owned up to his own mistake, however that didn't put the black mark on tonight for him. It didn't help, but, well, didn't really help his reputation after tonight. He doesn't have a history for being a terribly courteous backmarker in the first place. And this appeared just to be him not paying attention and pinching the 55 car into the wall. More unforgivable about this that he took his own teammate with him, so there's probably going to be some words in the hauler about that, in the team hauler, not the officials hauler, mind you. The officials did want to talk to Ian Cooper, by the way, but it concerned a different matter. It concerned the random obscenities he was screaming over the radio after the first incident with Chris Johans. Drew Eisenman restarted as the race leader. There's a lot of cars 1 lap down, and there is Lauren Roth. Whoa! Great restart from Roth, gets around Manny Brown, and he begins slicing through some of these other lap cars, except he is one himself. Drew Eisenman has to fight off Mike Whitmore for the lead, ends up losing that battle, and then the name Ross Peterson appears at the top of the scoring pylon. However, Leonid Roderick quickly dispatches the 47 and sweeps into the lead. Tony Durbin, Julian Asova, Lauren Roth, and Alan Hodges were all able to get a pretty good gap on the rest of the field. The only problem is they're all 1 lap or more down. Mike Whitmore in the 73 car won a race on pit strategy, and he decided to roll the dice again with pit strategy and came in way before everyone else did. Leonid Roderick in the number 4 car here, we see, ends up taking the lead and ends up running down aforementioned 4 back markers that were way in front of the rest of the pack. Alan Hodges in the 13 car there. and said back markers don't really have any problems with letting Roderick through. Roderick able to carve his way through them and take over the lead of the entire pack. Well, Ian Cooper made a nuisance of himself as a back marker earlier on, but this time he was on his best behavior. However, I can't exactly say the same thing for Dan Klezel. See, here comes the field through Cooper, trying to let everybody through, but what is Klezel doing? Doesn't matter what he's doing. It looks like everyone able to get through on the inside all right. Dan Klezel, probably everyone's least favorite driver after there. He almost swerved into about 3 or 4 cars there as Cooper was able to move his way to the outside gradually. John Parker Jr. took his car all the way up to the front, the best drive of his career so far. I can say the same thing for Scott Stoidler in the 26 car, who's running in third, and Rachel Rainsford in the number 99 car. These 3 drivers are dark horses for race wins, but in fact, John Parker Jr. is somewhat of a dark horse to put his car on the grid so far this year. But a great piece of driving from Parker and from Rachel Rainsford, who sweeps into the lead. Carlos Donzello in the 45 car would make the hometown crowd stand up and chant as he was able to put the 45 car inside the top 5, showing that he did have the speed to run with the leaders. Alexis Rainsford in the 27 car is also running up with the leaders as well, as is Stephanie McGlynn in the 52. Parker Jr., McGlynn's teammate, took over the lead, and it would be clear that the battle for the win would be between the 53, the 26, and the 8, at least for now. Stoidler goes on the inside, takes over the lead, and oh look, there's Dan Klezel again! And what is he doing? The same thing he did before. However, apparently he learned from his previous mistakes of being an annoying back marker and was being a less annoying back marker, in fact, a gracious one. Scott Stoidler led the field down for final pit stops. Whoa, Drew Eisenman, a little bit quick there into the pits, whereas Leonard Roderick, Gary Edwards, and John Parker Jr. all stopped 1 lap later, and this appeared to be the right move. Roderick, Edwards, and Parker were able to clear a couple back markers and distance themselves from the rest of the pack. Scott Stoidler found himself mired in traffic and was not able to make a challenge for the lead because there were just too many back markers in the way, and it held everybody up in the pits. With just less than 10 laps to go, the battle for the win was pretty clearly going to be between the 8 and the 4. John Parker Jr. in the 53, despite a great drive from him, was not able to maintain second place or make too many challenges for the lead for that matter. Leonard Roderick and Gary Edwards simply were better than he was tonight. It did not look like the 53 team made the right adjustments in the pit lane. Roderick swept over, took second, and then took over the lead. We're going to ride on board here with Gary Edwards in car number 8 as he's able to get around John Parker Jr. as the field comes to take the white flag this time by. I'm going to take you through the whole last lap. Coming into 1, Roderick and Edwards. Edwards runs a little high, Roderick throws the block. Coming down the back straightaway, Edwards has got 1 chance to get him, and it's going to be in 3 and 4. Edwards a little high, may not have enough time to get him. Here they come, final stretch. He's making a move. Edwards comes down. Here it's going to be close. It's Edwards. He's got it. Gary Edwards takes his first career win in dramatic fashion by beating Leonard Roderick at the line by less than an inch. How about that? Gary Edwards in car number 8 scores his first career victory and the first for car number 8 since 2006. Edwards, a fantastic victory for him. Leonard Roderick in second. John Parker Jr., the best drive of his career, results in third. Rachel Rainsford in fourth. Parker's teammate, Stephanie McGlynn, fifth. Lewis Kingston, a quiet drive, a great result. Alexis Rainsford, likewise. Great drive, great result. And Drew Eisenman in eighth. Scott Stoidler, the night arguably was belonging to him, but he's going to have to go home with ninth. A great performance from him, though. He can hold his head high after tonight. And Ross Peterson sneaks his way into the top 10, and a great result for him. And here are the top 10 in points. Tony Durbin leads over Rachel Rainsford, not Alexis, in second, 5 points out of the lead. Dale Roswell, who last won this championship 20 years ago, is in third. Gary Edwards in fourth. Chris Johans in fifth. I should probably note that the entire top 5 is comprised of Sars and Lennards. Alan Hodges in 6th, Leonard Roderick 7th, Snyder 8th, Alexis Rainsford in 9th, last year's series champion. Gonna have to pick up some ground if she's gonna make another charge for the championship. And then Ryan Araki sits 10th. 11th, Scott Bates, Lewis Kingston 12th, Kurt Pliskin, and still a great run from this team, 13th, Palmer Stiles 14th, Ross Peterson slots in 15th, and Stephanie McGlynn great improvement over last year. Arto Kekkonen 17th. Lauren Roth, last year's winner of the Karjala Grand Prix, which is the next round. Roth will be able to defend that to his win in that race. Mike Whitmore is 19th, and then Danny Savin, the rock star, 2 times a winner of the Karjala Grand Prix, will ensure his starting berth in that great race.